All right, we should be good to go. I don't know what happened there. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. But anyway, welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So, today we are going to discuss the long anticipated Disney live action remake of Lilo and Stitch and how it started strong, but they totally fumbled the ending, completely undermining the original plot of the original film. So we'll talk about that. We will also be discussing we'll be discussing Trump taking over Canada or trying to buy Canada. He seems real serious about that. And we'll also discuss how using somebody's death is not an opportunity to take a selfie. You don't learn of somebody dying and then say, how can I make this about me? You don't do that. So we'll talk about that too. So if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell to stay notified every time we go live. And we go live every Monday through Saturday at 9 p.m. And I have been ironing out a streaming schedule. So for the most part, I'll be going live at 9 p.m. throughout the week, with the exception of Sunday. But I will still likely go live Sunday. It's just going to be an early morning stream. So figure 6 o'clock is probably when we'll get to it. That seems to be what I'll be able to do. And that'll be more than likely just a chill stream. So video games or whatever, it'll be relaxed. So let's get into the topic today. So I have watched more Lilo and Stitch this year than I have in my entire life. And by that, I mean I had never really watched Lilo and Stitch until this year. But my daughter became obsessed with it. I mean, she was watching it at every single opportunity. So she watched, they have 4 movies. She watched all 4 movies and she's watched the entire series. So she fell in love with the character, loved the show, and by default, you just kind of passively watch these movies because your kids are watching them. So I came quite familiar with the plot this past year. So I'm not going to claim to be a longtime fan. I'm not a longtime fan. Stitch just kind of went over it for me. Skipped me, wasn't really geared toward me. And I do think it's more geared toward young girls. I think that's generally the plot of the film. Stitch is really cute. It's centered around a young girl named Lilo. She's about 6 years old, and her sister Nani, who is trying to gain custody of her. So the original movie, that was cute. It was a good movie. It was entertaining. It was funny. And overall, I enjoyed it. And my kids certainly enjoyed it. So when we found out they were coming out with the live action film, my daughter was excited. And I was excited for her. We like going to the movies. We're a movies family. So going to the movies was an experience. We went and saw it in IMAX. And it was good. I'm not going to sit here and say the film is bad. Now, there will be other people that are a little bit more attached to the source material than I am, so they might find more issues with it than I did. But I'm not going to say it's good. Okay, it's not good, but it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't. It's not going to find itself in the worst films of 2025. Certainly not. But let's talk about it. So full disclosure though, there are going to be spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, you probably should just tune out now because I'm going to spoil this for you. So there are some pretty glaring gripes that I have with the movie. So we'll start with that. We'll start with what I didn't really like about the movie, and then we'll start about what I did like. All right. So the very first thing that kind of just hits you over the head like a bag of bricks is the voice of Jumba. Jumba is one of the aliens in Lilo and Stitch. He's the creator of Stitch. He's a mad scientist. He's eccentric and seemingly pretty evil. He makes Stitch with pretty much the sole purpose of destruction. That's his aim for Stitch, and he identifies pretty much as an evil scientist for the most of the first movie in the original one. But the red flag for Jumbo's character immediately came across the moment he opened his mouth. So I will play for, oh, no, not Trump taking over Canada, although we will talk about that. We'll play for you a little clip just with his voice. I don't think they did that bad of, a job with the CGI. I mean, it's just CGI. So all these live actions are technically not live actions. They have live people. So that's the live action to it, and everything else is just animated. All right, here's a clip.
And smarter than 100 supercomputers. I don't want to play anymore. It's an atrocity.
So he doesn't sound Russian, all right? So for context, here's how he originally
You wouldn't chat
sounded.
and work in 2 separate rooms.
Stupid ads. So sick. All right, here we go. So here's how he originally sounded.
Come back here, you little...
Stitch? What is it?
Oh, hiding behind your little friend won't work anymore. Didn't I tell you? We got fired this morning. Your rules.
You ain't nothing but a...
Anyway, you get the point. He sounds like a Russian. He sounds Russian in the original movie. Does not have the same Russian accent, and he kind of sounds significantly less intimidating. The Russian accent was a character defining thing for him. And I don't see any good reason not to give him the accent. Like, all right, you're going to cast Zach Galifianakis, okay? He can do a Russian accent. But instead, you just get a Jumba that sounds nothing like the original Jumba. And by the way, he doesn't even really act like the original Jumba. And then they totally just end up just, he stays evil. He stays evil throughout the film. And that's not how it went down. He ends up, coming alongside of Stitch to help save Lilo in the end of the first movie, or the original movie. And that's not the case. He's the bad guy. He's the villain. So they totally just replaced Gantu, by the way, who's like the giant shark dude. They replaced Gantu, swapped Gantu out with Jumba. And I don't get it. I don't understand why they made that change. It was completely unnecessary. Now, the kids didn't mind it. My daughter didn't seem to be bothered by that fact, although she did notice, that the lack of Gantu in the film. And he would have been, also a great villain to add. And maybe they're saving that for another movie. I don't know. But his removal was definitely noticeable. And Jumba's voice, man. I looked over because me and my buddy took Oliver. He has 4 girls, and I have 2 girls. I only took 1 though. But I look over, and he's thinking the same thing with Jumba's voice. I don't get it. I don't understand why you make a change like this. It's completely unnecessary. Now, a change I did like was to Pleakley. All right, I thought Pleakley was actually kind of funny. He was odd. He was just a zany character throughout the cartoon and the movie. But the one change that I did appreciate was that Pleakley wasn't cross-dressing. I appreciated that, because that's something that he frequently does in the movies and the show. He's always wearing a dress, and it's just weird. Now, you can make the defense that he's an alien, so he just dresses weird, but it's still weird. It's weird because almost every Disney movie will slip in some form of cross-dressing. Pretty much everyone. It's in there. And if you don't think it is, it is. Like in The Lion King, very innocuous scene, but Timon is doing dragon doing the hula, and he says that. He said he's going to do dragon do the hula, then he does it. So, yeah, it's in a lot of Disney movies, and I'm tired of cross-dressing. It used to be funny. It's not funny anymore because people have bought into actually thinking they are women if they cross-dress. So I just rather just get rid of it altogether. So I thought that was a positive development with Pleakley's character. I like that. Another another change that they made was there's a scene where Lilo goes to the pound to get a dog, but instead of what's her name, Nani, taking her to go to the pound to get a dog, it's her neighbor, this old lady who's her neighbor, that takes her and decides to get a dog for her. Which, I mean, alien, and her sister's, annoyed by that. I'd be like, what the hell? Who are you? Getting a dog? What? Without even talking to me, unsolicited? I didn't ask for this. So that's how they get Lilo. So I don't really see why they needed to make that change other than to introduce this old lady as a presence in the film. So she was an added character. Another change that they made that I wasn't mad at was actually the introduction of the female social worker, because I had always when I was watching the movie, I forget the name of God, what's his name? Anyway, the black dude with the mustache. So he's the social worker. He's also the CIA agent. It seemed weird for me in the show or the movie, the original movie, for him to be both the social worker and the CIA agent. So I thought it actually made more sense for him to go undercover and join that social worker as a CIA agent. And they still had him in it, so I thought that was fine. I wasn't really bothered by that. There were some people that were bothered by it. I wasn't. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. They're still getting across the same general point with that change, so I didn't think that was a deal breaker. But there is one very significant change, one that you don't find out about until pretty much the very end of the movie, but you get clues. They're clues, all right? The old lady that you're introduced to, and you'll soon find out why. She pulls out like a pamphlet for a college for Nani to go to school for, or an application for Nani to go to school for marine biology somewhere far away. And that's a little teaser for what they were ultimately going to do towards the end of the movie. And they end up doing something that I think fundamentally changes the heart and meaning behind the movie. Changes one of the most significant things about the movie. And Nani, in the end, instead of adopting Lilo and essentially becoming her parent, decides to give her up for adoption. What that's something that has me floored. Okay? Ohana is supposed to mean family, and family sticks together. That is one of the things that sticks out most prominently in the original movie. It's something that my daughter has said, that family sticks together. That's the message that you are given in the original movie. But apparently, in the live action film, Ohana means you're going to send your kids to be children of the state. That's what Ohana means. Ohana means they're not your problem. They're the problem of foster care. That's what Ohana means. I saw this meme and I thought, yep. So about that new Lilo and Stitch movie, Ohana means, yeah. There's another video that I wanna play. I'll have to find it in a second. But yeah, man, I just what was this clip? We'll play this in a second, but I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they gave Lilo up for adoption to this neighbor who, by the way, you're not really connected with other than her being a funny lady. She's just her neighbor. So it just completely, totally butchered the original intent of the original movie. Instead of Nani working hard and giving up and sacrificing to take care of her sister, instead she's like, not my problem. I'll go to college to be a marine biologist. And it's more of this self-love bullcrap instead of self-sacrificial love that is ultimately depicted in the end. So they do undermine the ultimate meaning. Nani not going to college, choosing to give that up to work full-time to provide and take care of her sister was beautiful. It was an endearing thing. It was a good thing. It was showing a relationship with siblings that people ought to have, is that we should be willing to give up things even though we want them for those that we love. And for our kids to never end up in a situation where they're in foster care. And she's working in the original movie tirelessly to be able to avoid that situation. And that's ultimately what she decides to go with so that she can go to college. And I don't understand why they did this. I really don't. There was no reason for it. I don't know if the message that they're trying to send to kids is that, if you don't want your kids and you want to go to college instead, you can give them up for adoption. That's the message. I think it's a bad one, a really bad one. There's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with working hard to provide for your siblings and take that responsibility. So that was the biggest change and the change that I took the most issue with. And I've seen the movie a lot this past year. We got Yashir Smith Muhammad. I'm good, man. How are you? I'm good. I'm great. All right, let's play this next clip.
What about Ohana?
He hasn't been here that long.
Neither have I. Dad said Ohana means family.
Huh?
Ohana means family. Family means
Nobody gets left behind
or
forgotten. I know. I hate it when you use Ohana against me.
why are you trying to go against what Mama and Papa said?
Because we were left behind. I know. All that stuff sounds so nice. It sounds really nice to me too, but that is not reality. This is reality. And I need you to start living in it with me.
What about Ohana?
Yeah, just more undermining the same thing. You subscribed to my channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, welcome, man. I do news, culture, commentary, politics, all that fun stuff. Today we're reviewing Lilo and Stitch and how they totally butchered it. So let's see. Okay, no, that's not part of this, but we will talk about that. So anyway, my final thoughts on this is that I thought they could have done a better job with that ending. There's a lot of things that I thought were good about the movie. Like I said, I liked the change they made with Pleakley. I liked that they um I liked there were scenes where I thought humor was done appropriately, like Pleakley getting sprayed with there's this mint spray gets sprayed in the eye with. I thought the relationship with Lilo and Stitch was good, and I also thought for the most part the relationship with Lilo and Nani was good. I thought that was a solid relationship, and I thought they did a good job kind of depicting their sibling bonds. I wish we would have got a little bit more of Myrtle. She was a good villain, and it would have been nice to see a little bit more of her. But we only kind of got a glimpse of her. Uh, and overall, I thought they did a good job with the CGI. I thought the CGI was good. I thought the story was pretty good right up until the end. My major complaints, though, was they butchered Jumba, butchered him, and they butchered and fumbled the end. So that's my thoughts on Lilo and Stitch. And I still think it's worth seeing, but that ending, man, that was not good. All right. So I've been playing through The Last of Us and watching The Last of Us, and there was a little bit of controversy. I guess in one of the most recent episodes of the show. I'm behind, by the way. I like 2 episodes behind because it's just not something that grabs my attention. I'm part of the 50% drop off. But so this is from The Last of Us showrunner, where they cut the scene of a dog. So showrunner Craig Mazin on why they cut the death of Alice the dog. There are 2 cardinal rules in Hollywood. 1, don't spend your own money. 2, don't kill a dog. Plus, because it's live action, the nature of violence becomes much more graphic. It's very disturbing. In our conversations, we're like, this is probably 1 death too many. Yes, don't kill dogs. You can't kill a dog on screen, but you can bash in the face of the main character. You can do that. Dogs off limit. Bashing in the face of the main character, having several characters ripped apart by fungus demons or zombies. That's okay. A dog, though, that's a bridge too far. You cannot do that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't. I recently commented on how our society worships animals, and that's also another indicator. Like, you can violently murder people on screen, but you can't have a dog die. What? What? And honestly, it could be literally any other animal, and probably nobody would care. But a dog, you can't do that. That's a no-no. And it's really wild to me that people feel it pulls more on people's heartstrings to see an on-screen animal death than the death of a person. That's weird to me. Now, I get that we're desensitized to it, but that's a problem. That's not good. It's not good. All right, we should value, human life. Now, obviously this is television, this is entertainment, but I don't think we should just everything's the same, if some people die, some dogs die, some cats die, whatever. I don't think dogs should get special treatment. All right, man. Well, I hope you have a good night, dude, and thank you for tuning into the stream. So we go live every Monday through Saturday at 9 p.m. So look forward to you rejoining the stream. Okay. It's kind of in the same vein. So this was shared by Drama Alert, and this is their ratings. Now, they're just progressively getting worse. So the first episode, 9.1, 9.0, 8.1. It's like basically a 1 point drop. 8.3, then it goes back up. We have here this one that's really low. Now, something I did notice is that most of these lower rated episodes, this one and this one and these two, I think these are all the episodes that are primarily focused on the homosexual relationships. Coincidence that they're all performing poorly? Maybe people don't want to see that. You know, maybe instead of wasting an entire episode on a love story that's an afterthought in the game, maybe, you know, spend it on something that actually moves the story forward in a meaningful way. Maybe do that. And I can talk about Frank's story because I've actually played the game. And his story, his love story in the game with his quote unquote partner is like a cliff note. It's barely mentioned. You know, you find him hanging in hung in a house, dead, and you know, there's a brief mention of it, an allusion to it being his partner, and that's it. They don't go through this whole gay love story like they did in season 1 of The Last of Us. You know, and then in season 2 of The Last of Us, they have this gay relationship with Ellie and God, I'm forgetting the new girl's name. I don't remember her name. Anyway, the new girl, you know who I'm talking about. And that was completely unnecessary. And didn't really make any sense. You know, the last thing, you know, I'm a man, you know, and I appreciate intimacy with my wife, but I just don't think after surviving or narrowly escaping being ripped apart by fungus zombies is that I'm going to be, and also trying to avoid getting caught by people who are seeking to kill you, that I'd be thinking about sex. I just wouldn't be thinking about that at all. I'd be focused. I wouldn't even be able to sleep, really. So just very weird. So I haven't watched the last 2 episodes, but judging by this, the last one's a doozy. Or maybe there's one more. I don't know. But this episode 7, not doing good. Not doing good at all. So yeah, I don't know. So that's The Last of Us, but there's some good news, I think, in the world of film and television. Some good casting choices that I think are awesome. So recently, I've seen that they are planning on casting Norman Reedus there's talks or rumors that Norman Reedus is going to be is being considered or is on a list of actors to be cast as Ghost Rider. All right. Norman Reedus would be a badass Ghost Rider. You know, out of all these people that they're looking at, Norman Reedus, Keanu Reeves, and Ryan Gosling. I love Keanu Reeves. Don't get me wrong, Keanu Reeves is awesome. I'm not saying he wouldn't do a good job, but Norman Reedus is the top contender to me. And mainly because, all right, Norman Reedus already rides motorcycles. He is really into riding motorcycles. So he already has that going for him. He already has that gritty, kind of grungy look that I think would be appropriate for the role of Ghost Rider. So I hope he's the one that gets the role. I like Norman Reedus. I've been a big fan of him since I first saw him in The Walking Dead. He's been great. I think he would be an ideal pick. It'd be cool to see him join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think he would nail it. I he's just a good actor. He's very entertaining. And so, cool story about Norman Reedus. For those of you who don't know this, it's pretty cool. I like the story. So, Norman Reedus used to work like for a mechanic or something, and he he's like struggling to make ends meet, and he ends up getting to like a disagreement with his boss. He ends up getting fired, and a buddy of his invites him to this party in like Hollywood Hills, so he decides to go, and he gets really drunk, and he ends up getting so drunk that he ends up going on a rant about his boss to like this whole crowd of people, and he goes on this drunken impassioned rant, and he ends up someone ends up you know seeing that he has a little bit of talent, and they say, hey man, why don't you come down and audition or audition for a role in this play. So he goes, he auditions, he gets a role in this, I guess, this play or musical or whatever, and he ends up getting scouted by a Hollywood talent scout during as he's starting to do these plays, and that's how he ultimately lands his roles in Hollywood. So I thought that was pretty cool. No acting experience. He just got the job because he went on a drunken impassioned rant at a party. I think that's cool. That's a cool story. All right, that's cool. That's a cool Hollywood story. Another casting decision that's being rumored for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Bryan Cranston as Professor X. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, that is a good casting choice. Now, I think he'd be a good Professor X. I thought he would have been a great Lex Luthor in Superman. I think he would have been perfect for Lex Luthor. He's a little old now, so he'd be like an older Lex Luthor, but I think he would have been great as Lex Luthor, but I'll take him as Professor X. Someone had commented here or on my original post, basically saying that he's a soy boy. And sadly, he is in real life. He's soft in real life. He's pro liberalism in real life. All right. I'm not going to make any apologies for that. It is what it is. It sucks. But I can't deny he's a good actor. Okay. He's a good actor. Him in Breaking Bad was phenomenal. In Breaking Bad, by the way, one of the best written and acted shows I've ever seen on television, bars none. It was so good. And it was utter perfection from start to finish. So, yeah. So he could do something like that, being like a drug kingpin, and also be like the comic relief family guy. What is it? Malcolm in the Middle, I think, is what he was in. So he has range. Another actor who's severely overrated, by the way, is Pedro Pascal. And he's also a lib, and that bothers me. But he's a good actor. I can't deny that. There's a reason he's in everything. And it's because he's actually a good actor. There's a reason, too, by the way, The Last of Us falls off. And it's, pretty much without the presence of Joel. And most of these episodes, you'll see here in episode 3, in episode 4, in episode 5, and this one's a flashback with Joel. In episode 7, no more Joel, no more Pedro Pascal to carry The Last of Us. And without the presence of Pedro Pascal, who's a very talented actor, it rests solely on the shoulders of Bella Ramsey, which, I'm sorry, she's just not that likable. She was great as Lady Mormont in Game of Thrones. She's not great as Ellie. She's not a good Ellie. She doesn't have the same charm or charisma as video game Ellie. She's kind of whiny and annoying. and immature. She doesn't really show a lot of growth. Where you do see that with Video Game Ellie. So anyway, I thought, I think Pedro Pascal is a good actor, and I can't lie about that. One more casting thing I want to talk about. A lot of casting news is we now officially have our Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the HBO's Harry Potter TV series. So a girl named Arabella Stanton will be Hermione Granger, Dominic McLaughlin as Harry Potter, Alistair Stout as Ron Weasley. Now, I will say this. This girl's a little darker skinned than the original Hermione. I don't think that's really going to make that much of a difference. This isn't like Snape getting casted as whatever that black dude's name is. Snape is actually defined kind of by the color of his skin. He's described as being pale. So to make that change with Snape just doesn't make any sense. This, it's been a long time since I read the books, but I don't think that's like a defining feature of Hermione. The defining feature of Hermione, she's known more for her intellect, her being smart and quick-witted and clever. That's what she's known for. So I'm not completely, unhappy with this decision. It looks like they got Ron and Harry mostly right, pretty good, I could see it. I could definitely see it. So we'll see how this turns out. So far I haven't been, thrilled with some of the casting for Harry Potter, but we'll see. We'll see if it turns out good. I do have a little bit of confidence that it'll be okay because J.K. Rowling is heavily involved in this production. So I imagine that she'll try to get it to stay as true to source material as possible. But we'll see. we'll see. It's going to be on HBO, so I imagine they're going to take some liberties, as we have seen with The Last of Us. All right, one more movie-related news, because this is just crazy, all right? So many of you have seen the movie Final Destination. I think everybody growing up, in the 90s has recollection of the scene with the logs in back of the trailer being pulled and then them shaking loose and murdering that guy, and it's now traumatized people ever since. They can't drive behind cars with logs. True story. They can't do it. I don't care, but I definitely know people are like, oh yeah, you need to get in the left lane right now, because it has inspired. It's so crazy that a movie actually builds a lifelong fear. This happened with Jaws. Jaws created a mass fear of going into the ocean because of that movie. People were traumatized watching that movie. So anyway, Final Destination, basically the premise of the movie is that, all these people are supposed to die and they escape death, but they can't escape death because death is coming for them one way or another. And it's just, consists of really clever ways to, kill people after they've escaped death. So that's the general premise. So they released a new Final Destination movie, but plot twist. A woman in Argentina was injured after a piece of the movie theater roof fell on her during the screening of Final Destination Bloodlines. This is like Final Destination in real life. What? All right. Now I'd be a little shook. I'd be like, oh man, death is coming for me. After that moment. So here's the story. Movie theater ceiling collapses during Final Destination Bloodlines screening. I haven't been to the movie in years. I went because it was my birthday, and look what happened to me, a theater goer said. Theater goers were in for an unfortunate surprise during a recent screening of a supernatural horror film, Final Destination. I think they're taking their marketing too far. All right? That's not funny. On May 19th, Fiamma Villa Verde, 29, went to see the new movie at Cinema Ocha in La Plata, Argentina, with her 11-year-old daughter and a friend, according to the Argentina news outlet. However, when she sat down to watch the sixth flick in the popular Final Destination franchise, which follows a group of people who die in a series of gruesome deaths after narrowly surviving a catastrophic event, a portion of the ceiling in the theater fell on top of her. I wonder if they have a clip of it. No. I thought I did see a clip of it. Oh, well. Whatever. That's crazy, though. That is nuts. Imagine going to see a movie where death is out to get you, and then suddenly the ceiling above you starts collapsing in as you're watching this movie. I'd be shook. I'd be shook, all right? I'd be like, okay, this is getting too real for me. This is a little too intense for me right now. Okay? I'm not down. I'm not down with that. Okay. Shifting gears, we are going to talk a little bit about Trump continuing. I actually think this is going to be something. This is going to be Trump. Originally, he sought to troll Canada, but I actually think it's going to be something that may very well come to fruition. So Canada, at least according to Drama Alert, is considering Trump's offer to become the 51st U.S. state in exchange for Golden Dome protections. So I guess the Golden Dome is going to be the United States equivalent of Israel's Iron Dome, but probably vastly superior to it. And they are now considering, apparently, becoming the 51st state. That would be awesome, by the way. It'd be awesome for two reasons. One, I like the idea of us expanding as a nation. I don't know why we just suddenly decide to be polite and be like, conquest isn't a thing anymore. Or maybe we didn't. No, we didn't. Because I think we're trying to conquer in other ways. But I do think trying to leverage your economic power and your world power to acquire other countries peacefully, I think that's a good thing. I think that's good. I think growing your nation and at least controlling your continent, that's a good thing. So I hope we get Canada. I hope you become one of us, eh? Except you'd have to stop saying eh. And you would not be Canada anymore. And that alone, just not being Canada, that's a win. All right? That's a win. And it's a win for us because we get all that natural beauty that you guys have up there. We get access to it. And I don't need a passport to go there. So that's kind of cool. That's really cool. So I like that idea. Also, we get to deport all their illegals too. This would be great. Go up there, get them all up there too. So yeah, we Canada will just not be Canada. They'll just be Northern United States, which is great. We will round up their illegals too. We will get access to all of their beautiful landscapes. And another bonus to this is that all the libs that were crying about Trump, well, guess what? Guess who would be your president? And that'd be the chef's kiss. That'd be delightful. that would be the perfect ending to this saga. So I think yes. Let's make a deal, Canada. Come to the table. We'll protect you with the Golden Dome. You become the 51st state and you make America great again, or greater. And then maybe why don't we just take Mexico while we're at it too? Like, that would solve our border problem. Like, okay, well, now you're all citizens. Now, I guess the only reason I wouldn't necessarily be on board with taking Mexico is because they actually have a vastly different culture than ours. But maybe it would just be like, I don't know. I'd have to think more about it. But we could just eliminate the cartels. It'd improve Mexico greatly. All the people jockeying to get in here now would just be tax-paying citizens. So, and it would be much, much easier to control foreigners coming from other countries into our country. Yeah, I'm down. Let's make North America the United States of America. That'd be cool. All right, next story. So this is good health news. The COVID vax is officially removed from CDC's recommended immunization schedule for healthy kids and pregnant women.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary, and I'm here today with NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
That's good. Yeah, obviously we shouldn't be giving the COVID vax to healthy kids, or really anyone for that matter. Like, we don't need it. COVID's not a problem. I've had COVID a couple times now. It's like a glorified cold. Not that big of a deal. Not a crisis situation. So that's a good move. They also recently, let me see here, because there's also news about them doing something with Skittles. So I want to see that real quick. Give me 1 second here. Boom. Yeah, so Skittles is going to remove titanium dioxide from all products sold in the US. I don't even know what titanium dioxide is, I'll be honest with you guys. So let's see here. Titanium dioxide, a whitening agent in candies like Skittles, was banned in the EU in 2022 to potential genotoxicity risks. Though the FDA considers it safe in regulated amounts, a 2024 Scientific American report notes inconclusive research, with experts like Kaminsky finding no significant health concerns at current levels. The decision follows public and legal pressure, including a 2022 class action lawsuit against Mars, later dismissed, and reflects Maha's broader push against processed additives through though the movement faces criticism from medical professionals for promoting blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not really helpful. That doesn't really tell me a whole lot. But I imagine it's probably not good. And if it's not necessary, then just don't have it in there. You know, like red dye 40, there's natural dyes we can use. Just use those. We don't need to use unnecessary additives that are toxic to the human body. We just don't. More politics. So I'm gonna play for you guys a clip from Timcast, and I echo Tim's sentiments in this video. So one thing that I am absolutely tired of hearing is the Israel derangement syndrome. People are hyper focused on Israel to the point where they can't see reason. Everything is Israel's fault. They stub their toe, Israel. Their wife leaves them, Israel's fault. You know, it's just They lose their job. Israel. Everything is Israel. It reminds me of that scene from The Water Boy where Bobby Boucher's mom says everything is the devil, but except with these people with Israel derangement syndrome, everything's Israel. Everything's Israel. Look, I get it. I'm not saying here, I'm not trying to carry water for Israel, all right? So just hear me. I just don't care about Israel, all right? That's not a priority of mine. Just like I don't care about what's going on in Palestine. That's not a priority of mine. It's not to say I don't think what's happening is tragic. I do. It's tragic. It's bad. It's sad. But it's not my problem. All right, that's Israel's problem and Palestine's problem, and they can figure it out. All right, wars have been happening throughout all of human history. Casualties happen, children die. It's sad. I don't like it. I wish war didn't happen. Unfortunately, that's not reality. War does happen. It is happening, and there's little that we can do about it, especially when it's not our own conflict. So anyway, let's play this clip.
If someone came to me and said, I don't like the U.S. spending money in these foreign wars, Ukraine, Taiwan, Israel, Afghanistan, Iraq, I'd say, oh, I understand.
I'm totally with you on that.
But when they come to me and they say, the U.S. shouldn't be spending money on Israel, I say, what about other countries? No, Israel. And I'm like, dude, the only thing you care about is that you are Israel first and foremost. All the Groypers, Nick Fuentes and everyone there, Israel first. The only thing they ever talk about, they won't shut up about it. They love Israel. I get it. They hate it. They hate Israel. They hate AIPAC. They hate all these people, but it's the only thing they talk about. They act like no other problems exist. Right. And I'm like, the point is, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing in your mind is Israel. For me, it's America. How do we secure our borders?
America.
What's going on with fentanyl in Canada? What's going on with illegal immigration from Guatemala into our country? So when I have a list of countries I care more about, I'm like, first of all, American labor. Are we helping Gen Z get in the labor force, buy houses, and have families? That's the first thing I'm thinking about when I wake up. How do we build culture among Americans? How do we get people to be moralistic in our country? Then I'm worried about Mexico. They got cartels. They're shoveling drugs up to our country. Our borders insecure. Then I'm concerned about Guatemala. Then I'm concerned about El Salvador. Then I'm concerned about Honduras. Then Brazil. And at some point down the list, I'm like, there's Israel. But these people wake up every day bashing their faces against the wall, screaming the word Israel. And I'm like, you are Israel first. And I hope you hear me.
Clearly, they're definitely focused on Israel far more than they are on the U.S.
Yep. And that's why when they said they would vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump, I said, that is a person who would burn this country to the ground because they care more about Israel. They hate Israel, but Israel matters so much more to them. They would see America burn if it meant bad things happen to Israel.
Cutting your nose to spite your face, yeah.
I don't know why you care so much. And they live in these crazy worlds where Israel is the most important country on the planet. I'm telling you, it is fascinating how they think Israel controls the weather. I like the amount of, it's not even a joke.
I know, it's obvious that Ian controls the weather, not Israel.
The amount of crazy conspiracies they think, they believe that Israel controls everything, is this secret cabal of Jews that are running the whole world, and I'm like, that is Israel's first you can get. Mm-hmm. They hate America, and they only care about Israel. It's the only thing they focus on.
I totally agree with that. All right? Yeah, when I wake up in the morning, I'm concerned not about Israel, not about Palestine, not about Iran, not about Afghanistan or China or literally any other country. I'm concerned about America. I'm concerned about my country that I live in every day, the country that I pay taxes in, the country that my kids have to grow up in. I'm concerned about that. That is my first and foremost priority. Then I am concerned about the immediate threats to my country. And one of those threats is illegal immigration and cartels, as Tim mentioned, seeping into our border. That's a huge freaking problem. So yeah, that's something that concerns me. I'm concerned about culture. I'm concerned more about the LGBTQ plus cult that is reaping havoc on the minds of our kids than I am about Israel. And that guy said it perfectly. Yeah, they want to, bite their nose off or cut off their nose to spite their face. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, give it a rest, guys. You broken record. Just shut up. It's so tired at this point. And there are other threats too that I think are more significant that they don't talk about, like Islam. They don't talk about Islam. They don't talk about how Islam is, spreading to every country in the world pretty much, how they've largely taken over the UK, how one of the most popular names in England now is Muhammad. And you don't think that they don't want that here? And Islam, by the way, is a longtime enemy of Christianity, but they're all buddy with pro-Islam accounts. They have no problem. I think they're a greater threat, to be honest with you. It's a religion that is actively hostile toward Christianity. Judaism isn't. It just isn't. So yeah, and then the weird conspiracy theories. I've become less of a conspiracy theorist the older I get, just because a lot of conspiracies require a lot of human competence and cleverness that I just don't think is there. I don't think it exists. And I'm not with it. I'm not on board with it. I just, it's cool to think about or interesting to think about sometimes these conspiracies, but it's not reality. Sometimes reality is a lot less conspiratorial, and unfortunately there's just people just being bad human beings, and that's why we have some of the problems that we have in the world. Now, I'm not saying that there's not conspiracies happening. Obviously, I've frequently talked about the conspiracy of Epstein, and his global sex trafficking ring. That's not a conspiracy. That really that went down. So, but I do think there's a danger in calling everything a conspiracy, and two, ascribing all the plights of the world to one group of people. That doesn't seem like it turns out particularly well in the end for that group of people. And all these people that claim to be Israel first, why don't you be Christian first? How about that? How about that? If you're so concerned about the threat of Israel, why don't you preach the gospel? Why don't you share Christianity with these people and convert them? Why don't you go to Israel and start sharing the gospel if you care that much? Convert their souls or shut up. Okay. Last story, and then we are going to wrap this up. So this is a little depressing. So this is not a feel-good story at all. So there was a body located of a 31-year-old girl named Hannah Moody who went missing after going on a hike in Scottsdale. So this happened evidently May 22nd. So here's the story. And what we're going to talk about is a particular influencer's reaction to this story. But I do want to give you a picture of just how tragic this is. All right? This is a tragic story. All right, so body of missing hiker found in McDowell, Sonora Preserve area. No signs of foul play.
The sheriff's office found Hannah Moody's body 600 yards off trail from the Gateway Trailhead parking lot. Despite this devastating discovery today, her friends and family focusing on the light that she gave to others through her life.
It's just coming back to the present moment. She was just an honor to love and to know.
31-year-old Hannah Moody,
as I'm on this hike right now,
was more than just an avid hiker.
Hannah was such a beautiful ray of light. She loved God, she loved others, and she lived that out by how she carried herself.
She was last seen here at the Gateway Trailhead Wednesday morning. When friends hadn't heard from her by nearly 8 at night, they called police.
Every second counts when it's hot outside.
A massive search started. First responders and community members coming out.
We did have people all around in different areas hiking and looking for her. We allowed the first responders to do what they were doing.
Her body found just after noon on Thursday. Police say there were no obvious signs of trauma or foul play.
I am so sorry that we couldn't bring her home alive.
In the heartbreak, Moody's family and friends sharing about how she lived. She moved back to the Valley in September.
How do you typically show up for yourself?
Moody shared her life to uplift others, both in person and online.
She has been through a lot as a person. She inspired so many people, you know, online, in her friend group, in her community.
Moody's father says she loved being outdoors and always brought water. He described her as courageous, smart, kind, and generous, a person who loves spending time with her friends and with Jesus.
Help me to show more of you to this person, more of your love, your grace, your compassion.
It breaks all of our hearts, but you know, at the end of the day, she left this earth doing something that she loved.
For those who never knew her but searched for her as if she was one of their own.
Hannah, I never got the chance to meet you, but we all love you. You have a community behind you. We love your parents, and we're going to be here for your family no matter what.
The investigation continues as the police department...
That's sad. That's sad, man. This is why, too, I do think it's generally a good rule of thumb to make sure that you have somebody with you on hikes. You know, especially if you're a woman, it's just a little bit more dangerous. You know, not just from other people, but from the elements. So I'm sure they probably know what happened to her. I'll follow up on this story and kind of give an update. But what I want to talk about is how somebody reacted to this tragedy. All right. So you would think that, you know, if this happened to you or happened to somebody you know, or just reacting to this story in general, that you'd share sentiments of, you know, sorrow and sadness for what happened. But not this chick. No, this chick, Courtney Nell, uses this opportunity to share this thirst trap of herself. So the trail she was on is one I've hiked by myself a lot, sending prayers to her family and friends. The day I took these photos, I almost got stranded out on the trail myself since it got too hot and I ran out of water. So yeah, she shares this photo. I'm not going to enlarge it. I just don't get this mentality where you use this as an opportunity to make it like focus on yourself and what's going on with you instead of just sharing, you know, sentiments, you know, just of grief for the family. I don't understand that. I don't get it. Like, you didn't need to include the selfie of yourself, you know, just the comment that you hiked the trail and that you're praying for that. That's fine. You didn't need to share your photos of you hiking the trail. Like, let's not make this about you, Courtney. Let's keep this about Hannah Moody, who died during this hike. Let's keep this about the person who lost their life in this tragic event. Let's focus on her, not you. And it's like this me-centric culture. And I don't like it, man. I just don't like it. Like, I would never use somebody's death to, you know, a thought is, oh, let me share a selfie of me hiking this trail to honor this woman who died. That does no, that's no bueno. That's no good. It's just flat out weird. So I thought that was strange. Let's see. We'll do a couple. Oh, this one I want to talk about. All right. Yeah, we're doing this. So I recently talked about dogs and animal worship, and that's something that I frequently talk about, and how people prioritize the well-being of animals over other human beings, often themselves too. They will put their animal before themselves, and I think that's weird behavior. And I saw this video making the rounds of this King Corso lashing out violently against his owner, who apparently couldn't control it. So we'll play this clip and talk about it.
No. Let's go. No. 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 It's okay. It's okay. Good boy. Come. No. No. Stop. It's okay. It's okay. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. It's okay. It's okay. No. No. Shh. Stop. Good boy. Come. No. Hey. No. No. Stop. Good boy. It's okay. Relax. Good boy. Stop, okay? Come. Sit. Brand, sit. Good boy. Come. No. No. Stop. Let's go. Brand. Stop. It's okay. Good boy. Good boy.
Good boy, Cujo. Good boy.
Good boy. It's okay. It's okay. Good boy.
You're trying to rip my face off, but it's okay, boy.
Come. No. No. Hey. No. Stop. Let's go. No.
If your dog looks like Bane, probably not a good idea to own the dog. If you have to mask your dog to bring them out in public, you probably shouldn't have a dog. And if your dog is trying to violently rip you apart with its muzzle on, you probably shouldn't have that dog. Am I crazy for thinking it's psychotic to own an animal like this? Am I alone? Is that not just insane? Your dog is trying to kill you. Fortunately, you have a muzzle on it, but you shouldn't have to muzzle your dog to have it around you. Huge red flag. If your dog is acting like Cujo, get rid of the dog. Honestly, the dog needs to be taken care of. Sounds heartless, sounds cruel, but look at how it's behaving. What if he lost control of the dog? It got loose, it got its muzzle off somehow, and acts that way toward another human being. And this is what I'm talking about when I say people put their animals above other people and above themselves. They will put themselves at risk for the sake of having their dogs. That is delusional behavior. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's completely insane, completely stupid, and people should not be doing it. They shouldn't be doing it at all. So I don't get it. You know, I just don't understand this. So if you have a dog like this, if your dog even attempts to bite you, I would consider getting rid of it. Like, you should not have a dog that is trying to bite you. That's not good. That's not good. Especially if you have kids around the house. I pray to God this guy does not have children in his house. And it's just him. And he's calling the dog a good boy. Good boy. Even though you're trying to rip me. Good boy. No. Not good boy. You're a bad boy. You're a bad dog. It's so tiring. It's so exhausting. I know I'm alone on the criticism of animals bandwagon, but it's somebody has to, all right? I'll be the guy. Because it's just something that's not talked about enough. Thankfully, though, I think most people do agree with this scenario. Why own such animals? Exactly what's not to do in this situation. Yeah, I mean, I think just having the dog is what not to do. How dangerous can king corsos be? King corsos can be dangerous if not properly trained or socialized due to its large size and 700 psi bite force, which can cause severe injuries. Yeah. Not good. Now, On the historical data shows 21 fatal attacks in the U.S. from 1979 to 1998, linked to poor ownership. Okay, that's not that bad. That's basically non-existent. But if you have a dog like that, Jesus,
no,
like,
let's go.
Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Be done with it. Move on, and get a less Molly type of dog. One that's not gonna rip your face off. Do that. All right, I think that's going to do it for me today. Now, I do just want to remind you my schedule, I think going forward is going to be Monday through Saturday at 9 p.m. and I will be doing bonus streams on Sunday at 6 a.m. So we'll probably be just playing through some video games, keeping it low key, chill. I think that'll be a good way to spend the time. And for those of you that tuned in today, I appreciate you guys sincerely. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me a chance. I apologize for the technical issues in the beginning. I will continue to work on improving the quality, and I think I'm doing that. I hope I am. And I appreciate you guys, and please like, share, comment. Let me know your thoughts on any of the things that I talked about. I'd love to hear from you. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Appreciate you guys. Have a blessed night. Deuces.